Hello everyone, you're welcome back to this channel. Today we are talking about being debt free, right? Debt free. A lot of people say go debt free, pay off all your debts and all of this. I want to say that there has to be an application of wisdom. For one, I don't think I want to pay off all my debt because it acts as a leverage against taxes, okay? Because there's a leverage you get on your taxes when you are actually paying interest on a loan. So it helps minimize your tax impact. That's just one of the reasons. Secondly, if I was to put my money right now in the S&P 500, let's say VOO, for the last 90 years, the average growth rate is 10%. That's average. Now, the loan on my house is 2%. And if I was to invest the money, I was going to make 10%. The loan on my house is 2%. What sense in my head tells me to take money that I could have invested and make 10% to go pay off a loan that I'm only paying 2% interest on? It doesn't make financial sense in my mathematical head. Because at the end of the day, keeping the loan at the 2% interest and taking the money that I could have used to pay the loan, if I use the money to invest, I'm making 10%. So if I make 10% and out of the 10%, I take 2% to pay for my loan, I'm still ending up with a plus of 8%. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I believe that I'm making sense. So I know sometimes we have this talk of go debt-free. Americans like to take debt. Some people say that as like some kind of, I don't know, they have some kind of notion and ideology. I'm not in debt because I cannot afford things. No, I'm in debt because it's a wager, it's a leverage for a lot of things. Actually, if I had, I could pay off my house if I wanted to, but why would I do that? Interest rate on the house is 3%, 2%. If I invest, I'm going to make 10%. So I'm still going home with a 7%. So why would I take that money and go pay off a house that is only 2% interest? If your house or your loan is 20%, 18%, 10%, 7%, by all means, put in extra payments. By all means, pay it off. But if the interest is 3%, even 4%, and you're rushing to pay it off, I don't think it's a wise financial decision. That's my personal opinion. And that's because I know that I could potentially make up to 10% return on that money if I was to invest it on something else rather than rushing off to pay a debt that I'm only paying 3% on. So when you're talking about debt freedom, pay off your debt, you have to do a calculation. You have to educate yourself on what it is you're doing, because if your loan is only 2%, I know that most of the people who refinance or bought their houses 2 years and 2 years going down, like from 2020, actually from 2015 all the way to maybe 2022, most of the interest rates were like 1.9%, 2%, 3%, 4%. That's if you didn't have good credit at that time. So if you bought or refinance your home within this time period, I would not be trying to pay off anything. I wouldn't be trying to pay off the house, because if I was to take that extra payment, let's say you're making extra $200 every month on your mortgage towards your principal. If I was to take that money and put it in the S&P 500, there's a growth rate of about 10% annually. So that $200 is going to make me more money than the 2% interest I'm trying to pay off. I think you understand. I believe that you understand what I'm saying. But if you do not understand, if you want personal help, you can reach out to me, okay? By the way, I'm working on my website. My website will soon be up. There will be coaching opportunities. There will be hand-holding opportunities. If you want a roadmap to start from scratch and begin to build wealth, my website will soon be up. I'm also working on my book, Financial Intelligence, which will have a detailed a detailed route that you can take to really build wealth, a step-by-step approach for people who don't know where to begin, how to go about it. So this will be coming up in the future, but I want to let you know that sometimes debt is not a completely bad thing. Sometimes debt is a bad thing. Sometimes it is not. I've seen people say, oh, I don't want to buy a house on credit. I want to work all my money and buy it cash. Listen, at the time you're talking, they prefer to work the money, save it, and buy their house cash. Listen, at the time you're talking, the house you want to buy is 200,000. If it takes you 3 years to save that 200,000, guess what? By the time it's 3 years and you have 200,000, the same house is now costing 700,000. Tell me, who is a fool? Because the same house that you could have bought for 200,000, by the time you're done saving 200,000, you can't even afford it anymore. So what sense does it make to say, okay, you want to wait, you want to save all this money and then you buy the house? By the time you're done saving 700,000, the house is probably 2 million, because there's also the time factor. That's one thing with real estate, equity. The value keeps going up. So the price keeps going up. So the minute you're saving, you're trying to save money, you're trying to arrive at the price, guess what? The price is moving faster than you can save. Yes, 5 times faster than your saving ability. That's just the truth. So saying that I don't want to owe anybody, I want to do everything cash. That works in some systems. I'm telling you, in these systems, you have to get educated. You have to get financial education, because sometimes it just sounds like foolishness to me. Sorry, I'm not sorry, but it sounds like foolishness to me. Because I know somebody said, well, I want to buy a house. This is the house we want to buy. I'm like, oh, I checked it. This is a nice house. 200,000. Your mortgage is probably going to be about 1,700. Yeah, you can afford 1,700, right? Yes, but I don't want to owe anybody. We want to work. How much you have? We have 110,000. So you want to save 90 more thousand and make it 200. Well, it's going to take you maybe 18 months to save the 90,000. By the time you get to it, the house is 400,000. Wake up. You have to understand how the system works so that you can take advantage of it. So you can position yourself properly. There's nothing wrong with being in debt. The problem with being in debt is taking things that you cannot afford, overworking yourself to pay them. We are not talking about things that you can afford, you're just being financially strategic. They are two different things, okay? And I'm not talking about collecting liabilities, things that are not going to grow in value, things that are not going to build equity, things that are not going to generate cash flows for you. So you have to understand the balance. Thank you for coming on again today. I look forward to seeing you again on my next video. God bless you. Have a great one.